Why is it that in the real world, the kindest souls are often the ones who get betrayed, ignored, and forgotten, while the ruthless rise to power? Why do nice guys lose the girl, the job, the respect, and sometimes even their lives, while those who manipulate, deceive, and dominate are admired or even worshipped? The truth is dark, ancient, and buried in philosophy, and it begins with one name, Niccolò Machiavelli. In this video, we dive deep into Machiavelli's brutally honest blueprint for survival, and why being nice in a world shaped by power dynamics might be the most dangerous strategy of all. We'll explore rare philosophies, psychological truths, and chilling historical lessons that reveal why kindness, when unbalanced, can be a death sentence. Stick around till the end if you want to understand the game of life beyond the illusion. And if you're serious about leveling up in life and understanding the darker side of human nature, hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it. Machiavelli didn't believe the world rewards goodness. In The Prince, he argues that rulers, and people in general, must possess a gritty blend of courage, cunning, and calculated ruthlessness, to contend with fortuna, the unpredictable chaos that life throws at them. In his view, moral virtue is not a reliable strategy but a luxury for those who can afford failure. Those who succeed in the real world aren't necessarily the kindest or the most ethical, they're the ones who can read the moment, bend the rules when needed, and strike when the opportunity arises. It's not a question of being good or bad, it's a question of being effective. Nice guys often operate under the assumption that the world runs on reciprocity, that if they treat people with kindness, respect, and honesty, they'll receive the same in return. But both Machiavelli and modern psychology dismantle this fantasy. Human beings, at their core, are self-interested. Loyalty is conditional. Empathy has limits. As Machiavelli bluntly put it, men forget more easily the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. It's a brutal observation, but it cuts close to reality. People are not drawn to submissiveness or passive virtue, they're drawn to strength, to decisiveness, to those who radiate power and control. Kindness without strength doesn't gain admiration, it invites exploitation. Take Julius Caesar. A man of immense talent and ambition, he rose to the heights of Roman power. And yet, he made a fatal mistake, he showed mercy to his enemies. He pardoned those who had taken up arms against him, thinking that by showing nobility and grace, he would inspire loyalty. Instead, he sowed the seeds of his own downfall. The very men he spared became the architects of his murder. Brutus, whom he loved like a son, drove a knife into him, along with 22 others. Caesar didn't fall because he lacked dominance or charisma. He fell because he underestimated how deeply ambition runs, and how loyalty can vanish the moment it becomes inconvenient. Machiavelli warns that predictability is one of the greatest weaknesses a person can have. Nice guys, in their desire to be liked and accepted, often fall into habits of approval-seeking, boundaryless generosity, and chronic conflict avoidance. But this kind of behavior makes them easy to anticipate, easy to use, and eventually, easy to discard. The people who survive and thrive, especially in high-stakes environments, are those who keep others guessing. They know when to smile and when to strike. They are not ruled by the fear of disapproval. They understand that kindness is a tool, not an identity. Used at the right moment, it disarms. Used all the time, it defangs. Even game theory backs this up. In the famous Prisoner's Dilemma, long-term cooperation isn't achieved by being endlessly forgiving or unconditionally generous. It's achieved by using the tit-for-tat strategy, begin with goodwill, but immediately respond to betrayal with punishment. In other words, be fair, but not naive. Be kind, but not a pushover. Nice guys often keep playing fair long after the other side has gone dirty. They absorb disrespect in silence, hoping it will stop. It doesn't. Nature has little sympathy for the perpetually forgiving. Forgiveness without boundaries isn't virtue, it's self-betrayal dressed in polite language. Friedrich Nietzsche only sharpens this point. He believed life is not governed by morality, but by the will to power, the innate drive to assert, to overcome, to rise. People who suppress this inner fire, who deny their aggression and ambition, don't become saintly, they become sick, anxious, resentful. He who cannot command himself must obey others. The nice guy, in rejecting his own authority and instincts, ends up subordinating himself to those who haven't. He becomes a follower not by choice, but by fear. And eventually, he starts to hate those who do what he won't, own their power. Our culture sells us the story of the good man, someone who's endlessly accommodating, conflict avoidant, emotionally available, and always willing to say yes. But history doesn't remember people for how agreeable they were. It remembers those who made impact, warriors, thinkers, rebels, kings. Yes, some of them were kind. But none of them were weak. Marcus Aurelius wielded compassion, but commanded legions. Gandhi preached peace, but moved empires. Even Jesus, the icon of self-sacrifice, overturned tables in a temple when justice demanded it. Goodness that lacks strength is not virtue. It's weakness in disguise, masquerading as moral superiority. Taoism offers a different but equally sharp insight. In the Tao, harmony isn't found in singular virtue, but in balance. Yin and yang. Kindness, yin, must be matched by assertiveness, yang. Too much softness invites domination. Too much hardness invites collapse. The wise person flows with the moment, sometimes yielding, sometimes pushing. But the nice guy clings to softness as a fixed identity. He confuses gentleness with goodness, and ends up stuck, unable to protect himself, unable to take charge, unable to respond to life's changing demands. Flexibility is power. Rigidity, especially in virtue, is a form of fragility. Consider Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. Tesla was a genius, visionary, eccentric, and deeply idealistic. He believed in giving ideas to the world, not hoarding them. Edison, on the other hand, was relentless. He didn't just innovate, he dominated. He patented aggressively, smeared competitors, and took credit when it served him. And guess who history rewarded? Edison died rich, influential, and respected. Tesla died in poverty, alone in a New York hotel, feeding pigeons. Talent is not enough. Intelligence is not enough. The world rewards those who know how to work power structures, those who know when to protect, when to promote, and when to strike. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, doesn't sugarcoat the truth. He doesn't say, be evil. He says, be aware. Learn the rules of human nature and power dynamics. Always say less than necessary. Crush your enemy totally. Do not outshine the master. These are not instructions for cruelty, they're instructions for survival in a world that punishes naivety. Greene's work, like Machiavelli's, strips the romanticism from virtue and forces you to look at what actually works when stakes are high. Strategy isn't immoral. It's essential. Carl Jung offers a psychological dimension to this. He believed every nice guy harbors a shadow, a part of himself filled with the very things he represses: anger, desire, ambition, pride. By denying this side of himself, the nice guy doesn't become harmless, he becomes unstable. The suppressed shadow leaks out in passive aggression, in bitterness, in quiet resentment. And when it finally erupts, it does so destructively. The path to maturity, Jung said, is not to kill the shadow, but to integrate it. The nice guy must stop pretending to be pure and start becoming whole. That's the only way he survives. Warrior cultures like the Spartans and the samurai understood this balance intuitively. Compassion and community were sacred, but so was the sword. A Spartan boy who cried too often wasn't coddled, he was hardened. A samurai who feared death wasn't seen as noble, he was seen as a liability. These cultures didn't worship kindness in isolation. They revered the men who could choose when to be soft and when to be steel. Niceness without backbone didn't earn respect. It got you erased. Darwin's theory of natural selection has no room for sentimentality. Evolution doesn't preserve the kindest, it preserves the most adaptable. In human history, those who survived weren't just the ones who smiled the most or gave the most, they were the ones who could protect their tribe, outthink their rivals, and navigate complex social structures. A man who couldn't defend his people, or even himself, wasn't noble. He was a danger to the group. Nature doesn't care about your good intentions. It cares whether you're useful. The unguarded nice guy. He's a liability, and nature discards liabilities. Modern psychology confirms what Machiavelli saw centuries ago: manipulators, narcissists, and abusers are often drawn to nice guys because they're easier to control. A man without boundaries is like a kingdom with no walls. Anyone can walk in, take what they want, and leave a mess behind. His empathy, instead of protecting others, becomes a weapon used against him. He keeps giving, hoping that eventually someone will see his worth. But people don't reward endless giving, they exploit it. Real empathy includes discernment. Otherwise, it's not kindness, it's self-destruction on a leash. So what's the solution? Not to become cruel, but to become dangerous and kind. As Jordan Peterson puts it, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has it under voluntary control. The world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs noble warriors. Men who can speak truth, say no, walk away, and protect what matters, with fire in their eyes. The most respected men in history mastered polarity. They knew how to be gentle with the weak and relentless with tyrants. They could inspire love and strike fear. Lincoln, Mandela, Churchill. These were not nice men. They were dangerous but disciplined. Their hearts were open. Their spines were steel. Nice guys die first, not because the world is evil, but because they misunderstand it. They walk into a battlefield thinking it's a picnic. They expect fairness where there is only strategy. They give too much, too soon, to those who take without mercy. And slowly, their soul shrinks under the weight of resentment. They don't live. They fade. It's time to kill the illusion. Kindness is sacred, but only when it comes from strength. Stop hiding behind the mask of nice. Build your mind. Train your body. Master your emotions. Learn strategy. Become the kind of person who could be dangerous, but chooses to serve something higher. This the Beyond the Surface channel. If this message lit a fire in you, subscribe now. Because we're building a tribe of real ones, people who see the world clearly and rise anyway. Nice is a disguise. Power is a choice. Choose wisely. Thank you for watching.